The New England Patriots got absolutely dog-walked and embarrassed by the LA Chargers week 17 of the 2024 NFL season. By the way, at home. The Patriots finished this season, the final 2 weeks, 17 and 18, at home, and they got absolutely killed. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something about Gillette Stadium, Patriots fans. I don't know if it's the new scoreboard that's distracting the players. I don't know what it is, but there is no reason that we should absolutely suck ass at home. But for some reason, we keep it competitive on the road. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's the underdog mentality. But actually, that doesn't even make sense because we've been underdogs all season long. I don't know what it is. When you play at home, it's supposed to be better for you. It's supposed to be an advantage, and it simply is not. New England Patriots lose 40-7. I get it. The Chargers, they are a playoff team. They are, and they've been way better than everybody expected. They might even be able to win a playoff game. But nonetheless, this should not happen this bad. I'm not saying we would have won or that we should have won, but it should not have been one of the worst blowouts we've seen in the post-Brady era. After you're coming off of a close game against the Buffalo Bills, who might be the best team in football right now. If they're not, they're easily the second best team in football right now. And at one point, you were up 14-0 on the Bills. That game came down to the wire, and you lost by 3. This makes absolutely no sense. Me and Rob are going to go at it today. We are going to just absolutely rant the hell to you guys. I know Rob has some thoughts that maybe aren't exactly my thoughts on situations, so we'll definitely hit on those, see where everybody else stands. As always, today's video brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you a little bit later how you can have some fun with other Boston sports, because apparently the Patriots are not going to give that to you. But Rob, I feel like it's a loaded question. How you doing? But how you doing?
What do we have to look forward to with this team at this point? Because it's just like I am kind of counting now. I'm at the point where like, okay, you need a tank. Like we can't win the next game, and we don't know what. I know this is not answering how I feel, but like now I'm like my stomach's in a knot because if the Bills have nothing to play for, and we happen to verse the Bills backups, that's a very winnable game, extremely winnable game, especially when you have to go against Mitch Trubisky. And you know what will be the cherry on top of all this situation? Gerard Mayo finds a way to win that game. I feel like shit. If that answers your question, I feel like shit. This is that I would have rather watched paint peel.
I feel like that brings us up to the next question. I just put a poll in the chat on what you guys think, and I feel like I know the answer of what the majority of Patriots fans are going to say. I know I've been the outlier on this one. I don't care. I'm perfectly fine with it. With most of my takes, I'm the outlier, and a lot of the times I end up being right. I'm not trying to pump my own horn, but so I'm okay with being an outlier. I'm perfectly fine with this, but there were chants that were going on inside Gillette Stadium today when the Patriots were down like 30-something to 7, and there were chants about firing Mayo. They didn't last long. I don't know if somebody was like, yo, shut up, don't say that. I don't know if Kraft came out with a bullhorn and was like, shut up, it's not happening. But there were chants saying that. Rob, we were talking before the show started about how you feel. Why are you bringing Mayo back? What is the point? What is he showing you? He needs to be fired. There's no point in continuing this next year. I will give you the floor first.
So for me, like at least with like some of these coaches that have fell on their face their first year as a head coach, there's something to go off of. There's something to hang your hat on. This guy has like it's to the point where they're coining it walk it back Monday. He throws his coaches under the bus. He throws his players under the bus. I cannot fathom there, like maybe the one game last week where he looked like a head coach on the sideline. The guy doesn't. He looks lost. And what has he said that he's kind of paid attention to? He made what Alex Van Pelt the head coach of the offense, right? So he's not really have his hands in that. But what does he do have his hands in, right? The defense, right?
I don't think he does.
Really? Because
I don't think he does personally.
I don't.
If he does, then we're really screwed. But like, what makes you think he has a say in the defense?
I mean, he's a defensive coach. Why not? That's kind of more of his expertise, right? And if he's not, why isn't he like? If here's another thing, if he's not putting his hands on the defense, why hasn't he done it up until this point? Because you're supposed to be this great defensive coordinator or up and coming defensive mind because you were the linebackers coach, right? So if you see that your D coordinator is struggling this much, then that's still malpractice, is it not?
I mean, you have to look at the style of head coach he is. He's a CEO styled coach. So there's two different types of coaches. There's the coaches that are hands-on. I'm going to help you game plan. I'm going to call plays offensively, defensively, right? And then there's a CEO who, like you alluded to, offensive coordinator, you are the head coach to the offense. Defensive coordinator, you are the head coach to the defense. That is a CEO styled head coach. That's what Mayo is. He steps back, and when he hired him and Ellie Wolf hired Covington and they promoted Covington, they hired AVP.
Can you repeat that last part?
Which part?
Who did he hire? Who did he hire?
Covington and AVP.
Okay. So
that you can get on him for. That you can get on him for. If you want to get
on him, you could definitely get on him still because the defense is performing this poorly. Because if it's performing this poorly and you're sitting by and just watching it happen, that's like me watching a murder happen and just let it happen. That I'm still like it just this is terrible. If you know you have some type of I don't even know the word or terminology I would use in this. If you know defense, that's something you know. Why would you sit back and watch this shit show? Because it's terrible. It's terrible.
I mean, I agree. I agree with you. Like, I believe that Gerard Mayo needs to step in, and
he's a moron. He's a moron.
He stepped in weeks ago, and he should have said, Covington, you're not ready. I am going to take over. I am going to design the defense. I am going to call the plays. But we know that even when Belichick was here, since Gerard Mayo got here in 2019, he designed the defense. He didn't call the plays. That was Steve Belichick, but he designed the defense each week. He implemented the defense, and then on game day, Steve Belichick would ultimately call it. And we didn't have these problems defensively in the past. So for me, no, I don't think that Mayo in any way, shape, or form, especially knowing the type of head coach he's vocally said he's wanted to be, no, I do not believe that Gerard Mayo has a say in this defense. It has his hands on this defense in any way, shape, or form. I think he's trusting Covington completely. I think he's trusting Alex Van Pelt on the offense completely. And if we want the discussion to be, well, why is Mayo not putting his hands on the defense? Then that's the discussion that we should be having. And I back that up. I have been saying to you guys all year long, I think that Gerard Mayo needs to tell Covington to step the hell aside and that he's going to step in and he's going to help him with the defense because Covington clearly is not ready. But if we are putting the blame for the lack of offensive production or the lack of defensive production or the lack of the defense falling apart on Mayo, I think that's stupid. Do we want to blame?
Oh, I'm not blaming him for everything. I'm not blaming him for everything.
For not stepping in on the defense and saying, Covington, you need to be pushed aside. Yes, I think he should have done that. I understand why he's not, but it's clearly not working out with Covington. Step in, and he's not doing that. That's where we can blame him. But we cannot blame Gerard Mayo for the lack of offense, which honestly, I don't even have a problem with Alex Van Pelt. This isn't about Alex Van Pelt. I think he deserves another year. Van Pelt's doing better with a terrible roster. The guy that needs to be out is DeMarcus Covington. I mean, DeMarcus Covington has stars on that defense. The fact that last year, and I know he's not Belichick, but last year Belichick had this defense 9th overall according to DVOA with one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. And I know we were going to take a step back, but we should not be one of the worst defensive units in the NFL. And that is because of DeMarcus Covington. That is not because of Bill Belichick. And there is enough talent on this roster, despite the injuries, to be significantly better than the defensive product that we are seeing on the field. So again, I think there's things that Mayo is to blame for, But to blame him for the defense or to blame him for the offense, like, yes, I get it. He's the head coach. He hired those guys just like Elliott Wolf did. So no matter what, he is going to get some of the blame. But nonetheless, the reason that it's not working, the reason that we're seeing the defense getting killed on every single third down conversion, that's not because of Gerard Mayo. That's because of the guy that he hired, who's the one scheming things up and calling the plays, which comes down to Covington. People need to know the difference. If you have a problem with how the defense is performing, the guy you need to take it up with first most is Covington. It's not Mayo.
I can't really disagree that Covington should be gone. This is a foregone conclusion.
Should be gone weeks ago.
There is plenty of talent on this defense. Please, Gonzo, be okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Falcons are the only team with less sacks. Like, Herbert really could have just made a sandwich in the backfield today. Like, the Falcons are the only team with less sacks than us. That's it. The same team we traded with. By the way, that was a great trade. I know it's kind of going off cuff. We're not really talking about it. But trading Judon away to over there, he hasn't done well.
Round pick.
There.
Yeah, that was
good. Also, John Jones is washed. He's done. He's a complete lie.
Did you hear people last week? Did you hear people last week saying we have to re-sign him now? And I said, wait.
Who said that?
One game is an anomaly. One game is an anomaly. We do not say re-sign him until he can show he can do it, because John Jones hasn't looked himself all year. Last year was targeted one time, forced a fumble on Khalil Shakir. Really, really good. Comes out this week and should have allowed 3 touchdowns to Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, I mean, if Herbert doesn't overthrow McConkey. Also, Duggar is that might have been one of our worst offseason re-signings. Like, I don't know how many times I got to pound the table on this one. I may come back and this may haunt me, but like I said, if I'm wrong on something, I will. You know how I am, Colby. I will say I'm wrong. I said he is a box safety. He doesn't truly play that safety position. Or here, how much of it is Covington, and that's going back to that situation. How much of it is Covington setting these players up in the right situation? Isaiah Bolden popped off today.
No, he looked good.
I think he did. He looked good. At this point, I would probably play Marty Mapu over Duggar.
Although Marte Mapu just absolutely murdered Keion White.
Yeah, well,
I don't know what he was doing there.
He probably couldn't slow up on that, man. That's not something that he intentionally did.
He trucks Keion White to get who was it? Quentin Johnston, who was on the ground after the play was dead.
I don't know how much of that is in the moment that you can't really slow down, dude. Because we could look at still frames all we want, or the play slowed down. They're doing that in game speed. It's pretty hard to. I don't think Marty Mapu would intentionally go after Keion White, which Keion White came out today. And what was it? What was the quote that they came out with today?
Was it today?
Yeah, it was just another quote. It was another quote. If changes are made, then what are we doing? And then I guess the reporter was like, what changes? That's not for me to decide. That sounds like a shot at coaching.
Yeah, I mean, he came out a few days ago too and was basically talking to the media and was basically.
Yeah, but nobody likes to lose. Nobody likes to lose. Not like this, especially when his first 2 years are literally one of the. What would be a worse losing situation? I think this is the worst because the 2 teams above us last year were what?
3 wins and 3
wins. The Bears, but the Bears have more wins. They just happen to have the Panthers pick. It was the Bears and the Commanders. Neither one of those teams are above us. So this is the most losingest situation he's been in, or he could possibly be in.
I mean, it's frustrating, but it's like you have to understand that it's a process. And I get it's frustrating, but you're not a veteran. You're a second-year player. Your second year's not done. You don't have it in you to go out there and request a trade. Like, I just think that's a bad look on Keion White if he's going to say, I haven't even finished my second year and I'm not winning. Like, no freaking duh. Everybody wants to play for a winning team. There's 32 teams. If everybody's winning, nobody's winning. It's just not possible. So I think that's a loser mentality. If you can't trust the process, you don't deserve to be here. If he really wants to leave, okay, leave, because respectfully, it's not like Keion White is playing good football. He's a good interior D lineman, but let's stop
I
acting
think
like
he's kind of
something
playing out of
special.
position, though. I think he needs to play where Barmore is in defensive tackle, because that's where he really makes a lot of his disruption. I think he needs to play on next year. He needs to play on the defensive interior with Barmore, because those two on the defensive interior would be borderline unguardable.
Well, I said this from the start, Rob. I said, I don't know if Keion White is going to be one of your full-time edge rushers. Like, I don't know if he's like your Matthew Judon or your Trey Flowers types of guys. And at first I thought maybe that could be the type of role for him. But at this point now I'm thinking maybe he's a Dietrich Wise replacement, a guy that you play situationally on the edge and in the interior. He has good moments, but he's wildly inconsistent, and that's on him. He wants to go for a winning team and out here complain to the media. And like, yeah, today they dropped him into coverage. There was a conversion on third down. They had him playing zone. I think it was Ladd McConkey who just picks up the third down. Like, yeah, no freaking way. You have an edge rusher in Keion White, who's a bull rusher, and he's out there dropping into coverage on third down. Like, no freaking duh. I wouldn't be happy with that either, but you have to trust the process. You are not a poised veteran in the NFL where you can go out there, say the things you're saying, and request a trade like you have this immense value. And respectfully, if I don't get a third-round pick, second-round pick for Keion White, I don't care. Shut up. Ride the bench. I'm not shipping you off for a fifth, sixth-round pick.
He's worth way more. Yeah, he's worth way more than he is a stud. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like how all these players are. I mean, we've seen Boutte come out and talk about this. Just yeah. There's things that I do miss about Belichick, and I'm not saying like letting him go is the right thing to do, just so everybody doesn't go pop off in the comments, because this is the reason why our roster is the way it is, right? He was a good, the greatest head coach of all time. He sucked at doing his job in terms of like being a GM. Like the guy couldn't draft, like at least in the last like 10 years, he couldn't draft worth of shit. It very bad drafting. Actually, he might have been way worse than that, because he just happened to have Brady, who was the ultimate eraser of whatever you do, he can erase that. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is such a bad situation, because what you want to do is you want to go out and have like, I kind of wished that 24-21 game against the Bills was our last game of the season. Because now, if the Bills have something to play for, they're going to beat the brakes off of us. Because there was, what was it, reports came out or some kind of insider came out and said basically the Bills were playing down to us. They were not like actually they're not actually showing what they are capable of, which makes sense because this team had put up 30 points for 2 months consecutively. So I don't know. And it's a double-edged sword now, because now you're going to go into the last game and you better do well, because then you have something to pitch the free agents. Hey, listen, we hanged with the Bills, because you can't pitch that 2 weeks ago. You got the Bills, especially if they have something to play for, it's something to pitch that you could pitch. But if we go out and we get the shit blown, like our doors blown off, that's not attractive. There's just too much disruption with this coaching staff, with how the players in the locker room handle the media. It's like I was saying, the one thing I like about Belichick that I kind of didn't allude to. Players wouldn't do this shit. They wouldn't talk at all, period. And if I'm Drod, like, I know it will suck, but bench him. Like, you cannot just say, hey, listen, I'm not going to start this guy and then start them.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's ironic, though, Rob, if you look at it, all the players that are speaking out, having these issues, they're all first and second year players. So they're young. And that's why I've been pitching this idea that we're too young. There's too much youth.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Get younger. I get we're new, but we need veterans. We need leadership. We need something in here, because right now we're new. This is a new regime. We're trying to still figure out the identity and what exactly we're trying to build this team off of. And you have young players going out there just saying things they want to, because they don't have anyone to lead them or anybody to discipline them. That's why everybody's saying, build through the draft and get this young player and this young player. more and more, I'm thinking trade down, get a haul, and then trade that first round pick for some type of veteran, some veteran receiver that can be your wide receiver one, because we need guys who know what they're doing, who can line up correctly, who know expectations, who can come in and lead. We don't want to keep getting younger and younger and younger and younger when we're having these issues over the last 2 years with the draft class, because we are getting way too young. That's the problem with this team. They need leadership. And right now, I just simply don't think that they have that.
It just goes to show you, like, once you don't have like a Bentley in a locker room, once you have a Jabril Peppers going through what he's going through, which he's not fully bought into the situation because he has another situation going on. Higgins, I've seen reporters or at least some kind of podcast. He's not a guy that does this. So that's also somebody that if we were to bring him in, he'd be a good leader. I don't know. Like I said, like you said, we need leadership in here. And our go look at our wide receiver core. Bourne he's not going to go and check them. He's going to probably just let it fly. And that's all right, I guess. But like, you're supposed to be the veteran in the room. You're supposed to be the leader. I know you want to be the happy-go-lucky guy, and you want to be the energy in their locker room, which that is needed. 100% is needed, especially in seasons like this where basically there's nothing to play for. But we need somebody that's going to be like, hey, Rook, hey, whoever it may be, the younger player. This is not, you haven't basically checked them. You haven't done anything to deserve this level of
respect.
Exactly. Or at least to talk like this.
Yeah.
Like Keion White he is a stud, but let's stop pretending like he's Aaron Donald or any of these guys that like in the past that could have a reason to start speaking up. It's not even just that we have youth on the team itself. It's youth at the position at the coaching positions too. There needed to be someone as a assistant head coach that can Gerard Mayo could have leaned on, not some person who what is her name? I forget.
Robin
and this is not me
Glazier.
taking this is nothing against her. She was I'm all for women getting jobs, but but she has no football background, does she not?
I don't think so.
We needed somebody to be in his ear to tell him, hey, listen, this is how we handle this situation.
Yeah, like an assistant to the head coach.
Exactly. And that goes down the line. That means wide receivers coaches. That means O-line. Well, O-line's coach, I think Scott Peters is just doing whatever he can, man. It's really not much more he can do. But defensive coordinator, who, like, if he's messing up, who is the guy that's you could fire Covington and he could step in? Who is that guy?
You want to know
we
something
don't even
funny,
know.
Rob?
We don't even know if Dante Hightower is doing good, and I love Dante at linebackers coach.
You want to know what's funny, Rob? Is they actually do have an assistant to the head coach. But you want to know who the assistant to the head coach is? Matthew Slater.
I love Matthew Slater. I'm going to preface that. He has zero coaching resume.
He was playing for us less than a year ago.
I get that. Then put him on special teams.
But that's what I'm saying. He was playing for us less than a year ago. He's never coached. Like, why is he the one who is assisting a year one head coach? So you're saying the guy that's going to help you make these decisions as a year one head coach is the guy that is a first year coaching staff?
And he may turn out to be a good assistant head coach. But, like, here's the thing. We can't keep on taking so many lumps at this point. We know this team's not going to be good. The damn Las Vegas had us at 4.5 wins. Anybody who took the over, rest in peace on that one. But I love Matthew Slater, but he needed somebody. He needed somebody to have to be his training wheels throughout the season. To be the person to be like, hey, listen, it's going to be hard. But this is what I would do in this situation. This is what I would do in this situation. Do this, do that. We've seen so many times where Gerard Mayo would say one thing, Alex Felton-Pelt will say another thing, and DeMarcus Covington would say they're not in unison. They're not. But they're not just a problem. Elliott Wolf today We got to find out the one guy, which, by the way, the team you traded with, the Chargers, you traded, and they got Ladd McConkey, who, by the way, today broke Keenan Allen's rookie reception record and yards. You know what? You want to know what that haul was in return? That was Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. The jury's still out on them, so I'm not going to say that they're bad. They're rookies. They could be good. But what we could have had, I just got to go based off what we could have had. Ladd McConkey. I mean, like, Javon Baker and Polk had, 12 receptions, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns. By the way, Baker didn't even get he hasn't gotten a catch.
Yeah, he's been targeted. He hasn't gotten a catch.
And what? How many receptions did Ladd? I think Ladd McConkey had 8 receptions, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he matched your season in one game.
I like Ladd McConkey. I always did, but I don't. This is another one. I know I'm not in the majority. I don't agree with the. You're an idiot because you didn't take Ladd McConkey and you traded down. Like, the problem is not that they didn't take McConkey. The problem is not that they traded down. The problem is the receiver that ultimately they took. I understand why they went Polk and Baker, both guys that I liked during the process. I'm just as shocked as I think everybody else is that so far they've been as bad as they are. And like you said, the jury is still out on them. Sometimes it takes
I'm not gonna say they're gonna be
3 years
terrible
to really start developing and come within themselves. Keion White did nothing last year. He's finally starting to come within himself. What can he look like, year 3 when they start to develop and they start to get better? Because I forget who it was that I heard saying this, but they were like, players in year 1, they're not working in the offseason towards being in football shape and getting better. They're more worried about the draft, the combine, just getting drafted, helping their draft stock, not actually working on the football techniques and the football side of things. I forget who it was that I heard say that, but I was like, that's an excellent point. That's why it takes players sometimes multiple years to come out. But as for the people who are like tweeting, of course, the guy who you could have had killed you, do we not understand that he is a full-time slot receiver? And I understand he's better than Pop Douglas. He was always going to be better than Pop Douglas, but Pop Douglas looked good last year. Pop Douglas is one of the only good pieces you had last year offensively. So why would they say, you know what? One of the only good guys we had last year, we're going to just give up on him already to upgrade here with Ladd McConkey. It doesn't make sense because you cannot have Ladd McConkey and Pop Douglas on the field at the same time. So if you give 70% of the offensive snaps to Ladd McConkey, you're giving 30% here to Pop Douglas. You can't get both guys on the field. That's why they didn't take them. The receiver the Patriots needed was a big X contested catch receiver. They needed size at wide receiver. The prototype, the guys that they went with was the right type of receiver. The guy that ultimately they took maybe was the wrong decision. But the type of receiver they tried to go for was exactly the type of receiver they should have went for.
I think that's what I was gonna say. I don't think Ladd McConkey was the pick. It's just saying yes, like you have a Demario Douglas's similar play style. I think Adonai Mitchell would have been or trade up for Leggett, something else. But this goes to show you that, like, going back to the coaching, this is exactly what the difference is. You have a Gerard Mayo who has nothing as far as coaching. I mean, head coaching. He was really a linebackers coach, and he did some defensive configuring or scheming up with Steve Belichick. But it goes to show you that, like, a coach like a John Harbaugh, I mean, the Chargers weren't good last year either. They had 6 wins. They're at 10 wins now. That's the difference. That his veteran, wherever John Harbaugh has gone, it's just been winning. And that's what it is. Maybe I'm just kind of praying because look, as much as I say I don't want Gerard Mayo here, I'm also praying he does good because at the end of the day, him doing bad doesn't do anything for our freaking mental health. Like, he's going to be here. I don't want to waste Drake May's rookie contract on ineptitude. So I'm praying he does well next year because, guys, I hate to break it to you. he ain't getting fired. It's just not happening. And Robert Kraft is too prideful. He ain't going to fire him. No matter what reports come out this week, I promise you right now, I will bet the damn lotto. I'll bet the house on it. He is going to be our head coach next year. It's going to happen.
I think Anthony makes a really, really good point here. He says, I don't think Ladd would have had the same season he had if he was a Patriot, in my opinion. I think that's another good point. We always go back and we look in hindsight, and it's one of the worst things we can do because what we knew at one point isn't what we're going to know in the future. That's why the future is unknown. That is literally the whole point in the future. Like right now, like we could fire Gerard Mayo right now. He could go be the next head coach for the Carolina Panthers and take them to the Super Bowl the same year. And everyone would be like, shouldn't have fired him. Because what you don't know is the whole purpose of the future. And that's why you don't look in hindsight. And who knows? Maybe if they took Ladd McConkey, maybe he would perform the same way. Maybe he wouldn't, and maybe he would be a bust. Maybe if Jalen Polk and Javon Baker went somewhere else, maybe they'd be balling out. Maybe the problem is the Patriots. Maybe they just need to get a damn wide receivers coach that has been proven to be able to develop, because how come every single time we draft a receiver, those guys do absolutely nothing? Maybe that should be the discussion.
I think we should stop going like with inexperience and I think it's just being cheap as far as I'm concerned. Tyler Hughes, I mean, what does he have as far as a resume at the NFL level? He was with the Washington Huskies and Michael Penix, who, by the way, he was also the coach for the now Jalen Polk for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what his exact role was, because he wasn't even like the.
I believe he was a wide receivers coach. I believe he was a wide receivers coach. Which,
let me look it up.
I mean, like, you can't say, okay, he's a wide receivers coach in college, it's going to translate to the NFL. It's not apples to apples. It's not the same. I just think there's too much. There's way too much youth at every position, man. And Troy Brown needs to go as well. What is Troy Brown's role on this team right now? I forget. I think
as special teams, like returner. Like
I think our special teams has been good. Then why does he need to go? He just was not good as an offense. He was not good as a wide receivers coach. Like, I think one of the bright spots on this team happens to be our special teams.
So not our kicking. Hughes previously spent 3 seasons as an offensive assistant with the Patriots. So Hughes was here before. He was from 2020 to 2022. He served as the head coach for 2 seasons, 2018 and 2019, at a high school in Utah. But I'm trying to figure out what exactly he did for the Huskies last year, because I don't think he was the full-time wide receivers coach. I think it was like an assistant to the receivers coach or the pass game coordinator, something like that. But nonetheless,
I stand corrected.
But nonetheless, maybe get a guy who at the NFL level has been proven to do it a little more, because you are a team that has been inept from developing wide receivers that you've taken in the draft. Go spend the money. Go out and get a guy that you know can develop these young guys, because right now it's not there. It's not there with Javon Baker. It's not there with Jalen Polk. Kayshon Boutte's finally looking a little better, but he's still inconsistent. DeMario Douglas feels like he's taken a step back. Now, how much of this, of course, is the lack of an offensive line? Because I do think that does play into it. But the fact that these guys, these young guys aren't developing the way they need to, at some point it does have to go back to the wide receivers coaches. But I want to get into these super chats, because you guys have been very generous and super patient. So fun fact, not so fun fact, according to The Athletic, the Patriots now had the worst back-to-back seasons they've had since 1968 and 1969. Does that mean that the 2000s are right around the bend? Does that mean that Patriots Dynasty 3.0 is right around the bend? Because
that means there's a possibility that there's 32 or 31 years of ineptitude.
You know what? I'll still be alive. God willing.
I take that back, because we did make the Super Bowl in, was it 98 or 96?
So Patriots 92 comes in and says, $10 donation, big donation.
What am I saying?
Says, can anyone identify a single positive trait that Mayo has shown at any point in the past year that would give you an indication that he could be a successful NFL coach?
Go ahead.
What I will wave you is, what did Bill Belichick show you year 1 when he won 5 games? What did Dan Campbell show you when he won 3 games with the Detroit Lions year 1. A lot of the best coaches in the NFL, they take time. Joe Burrow, by the way, won, 4 games? 4 games his rookie season. Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl the following year. So it was the same thing with the Bengals. What I will tell you is, has Gerard Mayo lost the locker room? If Gerard Mayo loses the locker room and you want to fire him, okay. How come there are several Patriots players, including Drake May, coming out here and just vocally expressing that they're behind this coaching staff, telling you, and this is Drake May saying just a few days ago, that the hate and the criticism coming to Gerard Mayo is complete BS. He says that it's unwarranted, and Drake May says that he's happy to be a Patriot. Unwarranted. He just said that. Why are there several players voicing their appreciation and backing up Gerard Mayo on a consistent basis? But we want to believe ourselves and what we think over what the players are telling us. The players have backed up Alex Van Pelt too. You know the one coach they haven't backed up, Rob? I haven't heard a single player back up all year long.
Covington.
So clearly, Gerard Mayo, Alex Van Pelt, they haven't lost the locker room. Maybe Covington has. But if Gerard Mayo hasn't lost the locker room as a CEO-styled head coach, why does he not deserve another year? Because year 1 with the worst roster in the NFL didn't look good. Year 1 with a completely new, system that they're implementing, trying to figure out their identity. 2 new quarterbacks, a quarterback switch in the middle of the season. 2 new wide receivers, new offensive line. Like I said, a completely new offensive coaching staff. They have the hardest schedule in the NFL because that didn't look good year 1.
Well, you're not wrong about
that Warren's being fired.
You're not wrong about the whole first year thing, because 1999, the Patriots defense was ranked 7th, and the year Belichick came in, they went to 17th. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, some of the best coaches all time, including our own Bill Belichick, took a step back year 1. Looked like dog crap year 1. And then you know what? Things got better year 2. Things progressed. That's why I'm saying give it year 2. I'm not telling you I'm sold on Gerard Mayo. I'm not telling you what's going to get better. But what I am telling you is that historically, there have been several coaches who have been very, very, very good, who look like crap year 1, and then year 2 got better and took the leap. Asking this team to be better in year 1 is so undamn realistic, and I can't express that enough. Also, yeah, let's fire Gerard Mayo. Let's fire Gerard Mayo, despite all of these things I just listed off. And then let's go to Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson, because I'm sure that they want to play here after you fired Gerard Mayo for not winning year 1, when he's the second youngest head coach in the NFL, was the youngest head coach before McDonald got hired for the Seahawks head coach. He has the worst, again, roster in the NFL and the hardest schedule in the NFL. But because he didn't succeed year 1, he should be out. What is that going to say to other candidates who would be your next head coach? If I don't do it perfectly year 1, I'm out.
I don't think it's wins and losses that we're going off of. There's literally, like, my biggest thing is I never based my argument on getting him the hell out of here was off of wins and losses. I've several streams, man, I've come on and said that this year is not predicated off wins and losses. But, like, what has he done as a leader, as someone that has developed as a head coach, that you could say, hey, listen, this guy has this to hang his hat on? Just anything. There's literally nothing. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong. But like you said earlier, that you've been right on several cases, I've also been right. And I think he's not it. I look on the sideline and I'm like, this guy looks fucking lost. Excuse my language, but he looks lost. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. And it's just having your team be prepared. Like during the bye week, we come off the bye week and we just look flat. What'll happen is we'll go and perform 1 week, like against the Bears. Then the next week, fall off. Then we'll go look good against, who the hell was it before the Cardinals?
The Colts.
The Colts. Oh, I mean, we took them to the wire and then completely lay an egg against the Cardinals. Then play the Bills and look good against the Bills and then lay an egg. There's no consistency. We're not looking for this team to go to a Super Bowl the first year or to even win games at this point, because it's not a reasonable expectation, because this roster is just, it's not it. It's like going into the season, they didn't decide who they wanted at left tackle until like what? The last preseason game? Like these are things that you need to nail down like the second preseason game. Like what was it? The 10th O-line combination leads the NFL this year, which I mean, we don't have much talent on the roster to begin with, so I can kind of understand.
Thing, though. I think they saw this, and whether we like it or not, and I don't know, I agree with a lot of the things you just said, but I think that realistically, they knew what was going to happen in 2024. They knew they weren't going to win. They knew it was a developmental year. They knew if there was a year to try things, that it was going to be this year. And I wonder if they saw it and they said, yeah, okay, 10th offensive line combination. Yeah, it's not ideal. Ideally, like, we have our O-line figured out and we don't have to do this crap. But if this is a developmental year, an experimental year, then that's exactly what we're going to use it as. And I wonder if that's what they used it as, so that any questions they had, they were able to experiment and figure out this season, so that next year in this offseason, they don't have to worry about experimenting. Now, look, if they're doing this exact same crap, this year, this offseason, heading into 2025, then I think that becomes the discussion. But again, we have to understand what the expectations were for 2024, not just our own, but also what the expectations were for them, understanding what realistically was going to happen in 2024.
Don Johnson, we definitely have one of the hardest schedules. I don't know if you're talking about anybody else, but if you're talking about the Patriots right now, yes, we did have one of the hardest schedules.
Yeah, Patriots had the second hardest schedule, according to NFL Strength of the Schedule. But I understand that Mayo hasn't been perfect. And I want to reiterate the fact that I'm not telling you he's going to be a good head coach. I'm not telling you he's Dan Campbell or Bill Belichick. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that there's been several occasions where it takes these guys another year. And as long as Mayo can get 7 to 9 wins next year, then he's progressing. That's what we need to see. We don't need to see a playoff game or playoff win or playoff potential. We just need to see that we're competitive, we are in the running, and that we're getting better. And I'm not just talking about 4 or 5 wins better. I'm talking about 7 to 9 wins, like middle of the pack. And then you can build on that, and in 2026, really start competing for the playoffs and being one of the top tier teams in the NFL. It takes multiple years. The worse your roster is, the longer it's going to take. You want to compare yourselves to the Texans. You want to compare yourselves to the Commanders. CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, they came into a way better situation than Gerard Mayo and Drake May. Those rosters were significantly better. You look at the Commanders this offseason, before they went out and they got Jaden Daniels, they got Bobby Wagner at linebacker, a veteran linebacker who's very, very good, one of the best all time. And then they went out and they got Austin Eckler in the backfield, another very good veteran who's going to help you in the running game, who's going to help you in the receiving game. They built it around the player before they went out and got Jaden Daniels.
Which is why I don't get it. Like, you brought back how many players from a 4-13 team? Like, how many players do you have to bring back from a losing team for you to be like these guys you thought were going to be? You can make a case for Michael Wynn because I still think he's a stud. I just think that like everything else around him is crap.
Yeah.
But like Jelani Tavai, I mean, absolute liability in coverage. Kyle Duggar looks lost. I don't know, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, this all goes back to Elliott Wolf. You said in the press conference, right, that you were confident with what we had. With the signings and everything you did up until that point, you were confident that with this team. Like you said, man, getting a Bobby Wagner, something, because at the end of the day, that is it's not even so much just getting talent. Like building a culture, because what is this team? We don't for one, we don't have an identity. We don't know what this team is. Like, if anybody does in the comment section, please let me, because I don't know. And we don't have like the culture setters. Like, even if Bobby Wagner was here for a year, that's one thing that's the difference between having, okay, if there's anything that we could have done differently, why is Elliott Wolf the guy? Why? I banged the desk for Adam Peters all offseason. I would have loved to have him here.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to evaluate anything that happened last offseason just because it was year one. Nobody wanted to play here. Nobody wanted to come here. It was hard to get anybody in free agency. Honestly, we have to keep in mind too, though, that the duties of Elliott Wolf is to draft, it's to get the players here. It's to make the roster better ultimately with the talent. It is then up to the coaching staff to develop that talent and utilize them correctly. So like when it comes to Jelani Tavai, great extension.
He's playing out of position right now.
Exactly. He's not being utilized correctly. Kyle Duggar, in some ways, not being utilized correctly. I wonder if the injury is hurting him, but even then, he's just not looked good this year.
Shut him down for the season.
That one might just end up being when we look back on and being questioned a little bit. Ramondre Stevenson, the fumbling is a problem. It's always been, but even whether it's Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, the O-line is so bad that those guys are consistently getting stopped behind the line for 5 yards because the guys up front are getting beat or they can't push forward enough to actually give blocks to the running back. So I think that for the most part, like it's year one. Most players didn't want to come here because there was no identity. It was the unknown. Nobody wants to go into the unknown.
So we have an identity now.
It's different this year. We'll see if it's different, but it is up to the coaching staff to develop the players that Elliott Wolf brings in, and it's up to the coordinators to make sure that they are put in a position to succeed. And if they're not, that's something we have to keep in mind. That's not on Elliott Wolf.
I don't know, man. At the end of the day, like everyone across the board looks lost. AVP has had his moments of and that's pretty sad because AVP, I mean, he hadn't called plays since 2009 with the Bills. So, and I don't even know if he was a full-time signal caller that year.
He, in 2020, 2021, Kevin Stefanski missed a game because of COVID, and he was the head coach for a game. So
I don't know, man. Too many hands. I'm not here. Too many hands in the cookie jar, man. Too many chefs in the kitchen.
You know, I'm not telling you that Elliott Wolf is going to come in and be the next great general manager. I'm not even saying I'm sold on him, but let's see what he does because I'm not going to lie. I like what they did last offseason. I understood why no one was going to purposely come to the New England Patriots, but it was still one of the better free agencies that I've seen from the Patriots in a while. They came and they re-signed their key players. They signed Christian Barmore to extension. Even, a few weeks ago, they signed Brendan Schooler to an extension. They signed Ramondre Stevenson, Jelani Tavai, Kendrick. Like they signed some of these key players that I wanted them to re-sign in the first place. But again, it comes down to now the coaching staff putting these players in a position to succeed and actually developing them. Now, if Elliott Wolf does not go out there and bring in talent this offseason, that becomes another conversation. But
there's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way.
I like what Elliott Wolf did, though, because Elliott Wolf understood where the Patriots were last year, and he said, nobody's going to want to come here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the money we have this offseason and extend everybody for this year. That is a core piece to our team and next year because, Rob, outside of like Jonathan Jones and a couple of other players, which John Jones should just retire anyway, we're going into free agency with $130 million in cap space with all of our key guys locked up. Like they don't have to make another re-signing, then they'll be perfectly fine. They can use all that money and immediately focus day one of the legal tampering period on bringing in external free agents. And that's because of what they did last offseason.
I think the only key guy you should have brought back was Michael Onwenu. Everybody else could have kicked rocks. I couldn't care less. Maybe you might made a case for Kendrick Bourne, which I've already stated. I was wrong on that one. But everybody else is like, that's just people from the 4-13 team, man.
What about Christian Barmore?
Didn't we extend him?
We extended him. They did re-signings and extensions last offseason.
Okay, well, that doesn't count then, because I'm saying bringing back, that means they hit free agency, which it makes sense.
Really good extensions, though.
Yeah, but okay, see, it makes sense because Christian Barmore, if he doesn't have this, which I hope he's recovering, prayers up to you, brother. But that's a no-brainer. Bringing him back or extending him is a no-brainer. I just like, my biggest thing is, man, our identity is Drake May, and it's great that he's our identity, but like, we don't know like what this offense is going to be. We don't know. How do you, as if you are the GM, how are you pitching to free agents about, because if you're just going to pitch Drake May, that's great, which I think he has I've already, how many times have I said this kid's potential? I think he could be the best quarterback in football eventually, because obviously he's still very young and he has his potential. His floor is so high and his ceiling's even higher. But if you are the GM, how are you pitching to oncoming free agents about coming here? Like, what is it that you're saying? Hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is what type of offense we're going to run. This is what type of defense we're going to run. This is what we are going to be. Because with Dan Campbell coming in, he kind of laid down what kind of team they were going to be. And I just wish that Gerard Mayo had something similar to that. Dan Campbell, when he came in, we seen it's the most famous freaking press conference of the last like decade. We're gonna bite their kneecaps. We're gonna scratch and claw, and when you knock us down, we're gonna keep standing back up. That's an identity, and his team has obviously through the years being under that identity have molded into what the sculpture that he put in place. What is it that you're going to tell players that are going to be free agents that want to come here or even thinking about coming here?
Well, I think they're going to have to readapt, because I think we know the identity they wanted to be on both sides of the football, but it didn't work out. Offensively, we knew that they were going to be a run-first team that ran the ball effectively and efficiently, ran it down your throats, dominated time of possession to open up the passing game. That's what the identity was supposed to be offensively. The O-line has not allowed them to have any type of identity other than being sacked on every single down and allowing a 50% pressure rate. Defensively, they wanted to be aggressive. We knew that they wanted to get back to an aggressive style defense. Now, that's obviously a bold statement, but that was the identity, an aggressive style defense. That obviously has not worked out for them either. I mean, and we've seen it, though. We've seen DeMarcus Covington try to live by that identity, even when it didn't work, sending all-out blitzes against Matthew Stafford and Geno Smith at the most inopportune moments, but that was the identity. That was it. And it didn't work. Rob, I think you're muted.
And not having Christian Gonzalez in coverage to stop that. That's also just the kicker in that whole situation.
Yeah, having him play on like wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. But that was the identity. Now they just need to adjust the identity. Or honestly, if you want to stick with the same identity, make sure you have the players that allow you to play that style of football. If you want to be aggressive, you want to get home, you want to send all-out blitzes, first off, you better make sure it works. Second off, you better make sure that defensive line is really freaking good. Not to mention the offensive line. If you want to be that run-centric, run-first, run-it-down your throat type of offense, you need a good O-line. And Rob, that's why for me, I said, well, last year, you needed the quarterback. That was the most important thing. And what did you do? You went into this offseason, you got Drake May. That was your biggest investment. You hit on it. Now what you do is the second most important thing in football. That is the trenches. O-line, D-line. If I'm the Patriots, I'm going into this offseason, and I'm heavily addressing the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line. Because if they can do that, I think it will allow them to play the style of football that they want to from an offensive and defensive standpoint. But I want to give Kyle a big shout out here for his $5 donation. Really supporting the channel here, my man. I appreciate that. You said, I guess hindsight makes us all the perfect general manager. Hopefully we are smart and the best player available is the one we need depending on free agency. Of course, because I said that in my last live stream. What you do in the draft very, very much dependent on my last video is very much dependent on what you do in free agency. If you go out and you get T. Higgins, I don't want Ted McMillan. But if you go out and you draft, an offensive tackle, or you go out in free agency and you address offensive tackle somehow, well, then you probably don't need Kelvin Banks in the first round anyway. So again, they definitely go hand in hand. But before we continue on today's video, I want to give a massive, massive shout out to the sponsors of this video over at BetUS. Right now, when you guys sign up, super quick, takes less than 60 seconds. You go to the website or use the mobile app, and you use the promo code YouTube150. You will lock yourselves into a limited time exclusive offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125 on your next two, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal on your first 3 deposits right now. Great part is that you don't have to use it on football. There's one game left here for the Patriots. Then we get into the postseason and the Super Bowl. You can use this sign-up bonus on the postseason, on the Super Bowl, if that's what you use to do it for. But if you're like, I want to bet on Boston sports, I want to bet on the Red Sox, or I want to bet on the Bruins or the Celtics, you can actually use this sign-up bonus on any sport. Great thing with BetUS is that they have the best betting variety in the business. Not just NFL games, not just NFL futures, but college football, basketball, baseball, horse racing, fighting, politics, entertainment, you name it, you think you can bet on it, and BetUS, I promise, is going to have it. Right now, they can also give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus, 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, and can give you your very own personalized account manager. The fun doesn't stop there because they also have live wagering on all major games. But guys, play smart, play responsible, never bet more than you can afford to lose. But remember that supporting the sponsors, that supports the channel, supports me massively in giving you guys better Patriots content on a regular basis. But Rob, let's go ahead and kind of just give me, your overall thoughts on this game. I know we're about an hour in. I know nobody really wanted to talk about it. The defense kind of is. I feel like what the defense is, injuries early on. Drake May goes down with what they thought was a concussion. I didn't think it was. He went down, grabbed his head. The NFL called down, told the trainers they had to look at him. He was on the sideline, looked perfectly fine, looking at a tablet. I think he went down and grabbed his head because he was like, bad decision. What the heck was I doing? Not, my head hurts. But nonetheless, he misses an offensive series, comes back out, looks fine, plays the rest of the game. Overall, not a very good game for him. But later on, we see Christian Gonzalez go down. Looked like maybe he got hit in the head also. Don't think we saw him return. Got to see if there's an update. I haven't seen anything come out just yet about him. But nonetheless, injuries kind of plagued the Patriots with their stars on the offense and the defensive side of the football. What were your thoughts on this game?
That might have been the worst game of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to think about what part of this season this is in. Like, we're at the part of the season where I'm not expecting us to win games. But I want us to be at least competitive. Like I said, if this game was last week's game, I'd be ecstatic because there's something to look forward to. You're competing with one of the best teams in football. And this is not the same Chargers. This is John Harbaugh-led Chargers. Like, this is a difference. This is what a coach is. They don't have Brandon Staley back there coaching for the Chargers anymore. So, look, man, the game was just – I was at one point, I was like, this is just like a slow, methodical ass whooping. And I'm just like, just wanted to stop. I'm like, the only reason I kept watching is because we got to break down this game. Other than that, like, I would have rather have done anything else with my Saturday. If that sums up what I thought of this game.
Did you see what Devon Godchow said in his post game?
What did he say?
So Devon Godchow said, and I quote, so they were asking him what he thought about the fire Mayo chants. And Devon Godchow said, could have been a better class from the fans with the booing and stuff like that. It is embarrassing. I get it. But you're playing for pride at the end of the day. That was Devon Godchow and the fans booing Jerron Mayo.
Playing for – so, Godchow, I think you need to take a step back and listen to what you just said. Did that look like a team that was playing for pride today?
I'm telling you, dude, these guys are backing up Jerron Mayo.
Yeah, no, I'm not. More power to them. But here's the thing. Those fans pay to sit in those seats. So they have every damn right, whether they're right or wrong, to voice their frustration and opinions. They have had to, and listen, we are an embarrassment of riches. We've had to deal with Tom Brady for the last 20 years. But in the last 5 years, it has been crap. So I could kind of understand, because the level we have unreasonable expectations as Pats fans that this team is just going to be good. And it just goes to show you that we needed to appreciate that when it happened. But going back to it, man, like they pay to sit in those seats. So Gottschall, if you have a problem with that, then pay for their seats. Like they have every right to where they spend their hard-earned money, because not all of us make millions and millions of dollars to sit and watch our favorite. This is supposed to be our escape, right? The pride that you play for. That was a team. If you told me the same speech last week, then I could understand it. That team today looked uninspired, and to quote Draw Mail, soft, very soft, like almost like they're giving up. They finally looked today like they gave up. Am I wrong?
I like it though. Like I like Devon Godchow coming out and saying that, and like kind of talking to the fans a little bit and being like, yo, you ain't gonna be talking about my boy like that. Like fans are out here booing him for the first time, calling for his head off, and the players are coming out here in front of the media and saying, hell no. These fans need to sit the hell down because that's my boy.
Good. Unite the locker room even more. Unite the locker room even more. If us voicing our frustrations is having you go to bat for your head coach even more, and uniting that locker room even more because of all the freaking drama that's happening on the outside, good. Then the fans should speak up even more, because that's what I want. I want a united locker room. I want a unit that going forward, this is something that we have. Because if that's what the case and all these players are speaking out about being in support of Jerome Mayo, I want that. But again, they're allowed to speak up. They pay their hard-earned money to sit in those seats.
Yeah, not gonna lie though, I do understand from Godchow's point of view, because I love Pats Nation. Y'all are literally my second family, ride or die. But like, I'm always somebody who calls out my loved ones, my family members, my best friends. I'm like, yo, if you're a little crazy, I'm gonna call you out for it because I want you to be better, right? I'm calling Patriots fans out because I'm not gonna lie, we are the most. Not we. I feel like I'm pretty patient, but there's a lot of Patriots fans who just want Brady back and the perfect days are back. Like, you know, those are realistic. Right. We're never going to be the Patriots we were before. It's time to accept that. But the thing too, Rob, is just that there's people already screaming for Mayo to be fired. There's people chanting. There's people holding up signs. It was the same shit when y'all ruined Mac Jones. And y'all are screaming for Bailey Zappi, and then Bailey Zappi looks like shit. And then you're chanting for who the hell was quarterback 3 last year? I don't even remember who the third quarterback was on the roster last year. Like you see what I'm saying? It's just it's always chanting for the next guy up instead of realistically thinking, what is my part as a fan? Because if I'm out here and I'm ruining this guy's confidence, I as a fan can actually screw this guy up. Like, maybe let's just sit down and be a little bit more patient and not try to just throw everything out the freaking fan, hoping that at some point we hit another diamond in the rough like we did Tom Brady. Like, have a little bit of patience. Don't just throw everything you have saying, well, there's got to be a diamond in this pile of shit somewhere. It's just not realistic.
I don't think that it's not that we wanted Brady back. By the way,
I don't know.
Robert Kraft, you couldn't have gave him some like a minority ownership. Imagine that's something that should have been explored, by the way. Not letting him go to Las Vegas, which I mean, I think the writing was on the wall. He what does he own the Las Vegas Aces?
Yeah, I was about to say, I wonder if he wanted the Raiders though, because he already has partial ownership of like the WNBA team in Vegas.
Give him 25%. It doesn't matter. The guy literally, he's the reason why. Fuck, give him 50. I don't care. He's the reason why this team's even on the map at all. I don't know, man. I don't. think anybody was expecting wins on the season. Nobody was expecting this team to be good. It's that, like, I wanted to, like, for me, from my perspective, I just wanted to see growth. And the only growth I really saw, AVP, I saw some growth from him this year. Drake May, obviously, every game he's gotten better up until, like, he finally hit his rookie wall this year.
This was his worst game.
This was his worst game. So he finally had, like, a legitimate bad game. But, like, in Gonzo, but, like, what is there? Like, there's not much growth on this team. There's not much growth on this coaching staff. And it's just, it's concerning, man. It really is, because it's like, I'm hoping, like I said, man, I said last week, if you want a player, you're going to have to overpay for them, because now you're going to have to deal, like, to coin the term what Bill Belichick says, Taxachusetts. You're going to have to overpay. So there should be no excuse this offseason. I should not have to hear about, because I want a reason, like you said, you want to go and draft O-line, in which I am completely against, by the way. You know that. You want to go draft O-line in the first round. Well, okay. You better get Higgins. You better go trade for a DK Metcalf. You better open that pocketbook, because I swear to God, if you put up another tower and you don't address this roster, I'm going to have a problem with it.
I mean, everyone wants to get on Kelvin Banks, but did you see who did he play against? Was it Clemson? Kind of balled out Clemson. I don't know, man.
That's not the same Clemson of old, bro.
Did you see, though? Did you see what Scott Peters said about Will Campbell?
Go ahead.
He said the 33-inch arms aren't necessarily a deal breaker for him, as long as the talent's there.
Scott Peters has a martial arts background. He, like, what was it? It was, I think I said this story several times. And which is why I'm maybe these offensive linemen are really just that bad, because I think Scott Peters has the ability to develop just about anybody.
Bro, he made Darian Lowe and DeMontre Jacobs, like, at least okay. Like, not great, but like DeMontre Jacobs is a former defensive tackle turned offensive lineman who realistically should not be in the NFL. Not even as a backup, not as a practice squatter. He should not be in the NFL. And he's been starting this whole year.
I just don't know how, like, there's not anyone out there that's like, when we went to go bring in Verdarian Lowe and DeMontre Jacobs, there was not anyone else out there that was better, because if I saw guys just run by these guys all season long, just like literally run by them.
No, yeah, you got me there. I mean, I feel like even as a 1-year rental,
anybody,
you know who I wanted? Former Patriot Jermaine Illuminor. I wanted him this
offseason. He probably would have been a lot more solid than what we got now, man.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that process. Again, maybe guys didn't want to come here. Maybe they were like, we suck anyway. Let's just can the season and put our investments into next year. Like, maybe that's what they were thinking. But again, knowing you were going to draft a quarterback, you probably should have at least tried to protect him a little.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, that, like, if you knew this season was not, like, he knew that this was going to be a lot more work. Elliott Wolf, for whatever I'm getting on him about, I think he knew at least that this was going to be an uphill battle. But at least protect your investment. Like that, if there was anything that we got from this year, is that, like, this kid doesn't get sacked to the point where, like, he's had a concussion against the Jets, which, by the way, I mean, that one's kind of an anomaly. He was hit in the back of the head. So that's really just more on the Jets defender. It was really good sliding by Drake May. But he won't have to run for his life every damn game. So we won't have to try to play hero ball every single game. I think that's the one thing I wish that we would have had, at least protecting your investment. I'm not even asking, like, just better than Verdarian Lowe and DeMontre Jacobs. Because I don't really hear too much about our interior offensive line too much. They're not great, but, like, they're not our left tackle or right tackle bad.
Yeah, if we're officially on to Cole Strange at center, go get Trey Smith. I'm done with Layden Robinson. If he can be a backup for you, if he looks good down the road and you want to trade like Trey Smith,
he's a depth piece.
Go right ahead. Go get Trey Smith. You know, they took Joe Tooney. We're gonna take Trey Smith. They have.
What about Jake Andrews? What about all these guys? These damn guards we took.
I'm done with Jake Andrews. He's gonna be cut. He needs to be cut. Honestly, as soon as the new league year starts.
I don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you, but it just goes to show you that like we have no farm system, man. The only guys I could like, you could say Keion White, you could say Drake May, you could say Christian Gonzalez. What the hell else? Maybe Christian Barmore. What the hell else?
Got me there.
Hunter Henry. No, well, Hunter Henry, but he's not.
He's not the
he's not-
future.
But he's also not a farm system guy. You didn't bring him in. You paid him.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, for me, like you said, Drake May, rough game. He was 12 for 22, just over 50%, 117 yards, 9.8 yards on average.
I've never seen
Touchdown.
him have a game like
No
this.
interception. I mean, that was a beautiful touchdown. Realized that it was a free play, chucked it up to Mario Douglas. Beautiful touchdown, beautiful accuracy, good catch by Douglas. He was sacked 4 times, 84.8 overall rating. 6 attempts on the ground, 32 yards, 5.3 yards on average. Did have that one really bad fumble. That was clearly a miscommunication, but they ran like this misdirection jet sweep. You had Ramondre running one way, and then you had Douglas coming around the other. It looked like it was supposed to go to Douglas, but May just gets it and immediately just like throws it in the area of nobody. So I got no idea where he was going with that. I do put that on him, but clearly some type of miscommunication. It's great he didn't throw an interception, but definitely a couple of turnover-worthy plays, and nonetheless, he did put the ball on the ground. The Patriots now have the most fumbles on the season. This is not including interceptions. This is not total turnovers. This is just fumbles. After that Drake May fumble today, the Patriots have 29 fumbles on the season. Absolutely unacceptable.
That is just insane. They should
and
be
Drake
running.
May has another 10 interceptions, I want to say.
What? 40 turnovers. 40 turnovers. Hey, listen, there's one drill that Belichick used to do all the time. Grease up that ball, spray him with water hoses. Like next season, that turnovers need to be knocked in half. At least in half.
Yeah, I agree. The last thing I want to get on before we get on to the Patreon members is the rushing attack, because after Ramondre Stevenson fumbled, he had a rough game last week. We heard that he was not going to be the bell cow running back. We also heard that they told Gibson that he was going to be the lead back today. Gibson does finish with 12 attempts, 63 yards, 5.3 yards on average, long of 20 yards. He was getting it going as the game went on. I think the reason they didn't run the ball more is because DeMarcus Covington's defense was not holding up slightly. They had to go away from the run game pretty early on if they wanted to have any chance at winning. But Ramondre Stevenson, he started the game. I mean, he was the first offensive series. He comes out the first play, and he got a run opportunity. But Ramondre only had 2 attempts. 2 attempts the entire game, 1 total yard, 0.5 yards on average. Again,
can I ask something real quick?
Technically started, but Gibson was the bell cow. Yeah, go ahead.
So he rips off a 60-yard run, gets a touchdown, whatever, and you keep running him. What precedent are you setting? Because I'm being serious. Because we could go and say, hey, listen, the guy rips off a 60-yard run and he starts doing great the game. What precedent are you setting as a disciplinarian for the rest of this team that, hey, when he says something, he sticks with it, right? And tell me if I'm wrong on that. I get it. You're mentioning how Gibson, yeah, you could say he was the starting back today, but he did not start the game. Because I could go and say, hey, listen, you got 2 attempts, but then those 2 attempts then it turns into 8 attempts. Because we were behind the 8 ball. Who knows it's just whatever could have happened. But let's just say he would have ripped off a couple touchdowns and then Stevenson would have kept playing. What has he set as a precedent that when he says something, and that's not just saying just this situation, I'm talking about just in general, everything he said, spending cash, the communication with him and Alex Van Pelt, like the walk back Mondays, like he is literally known for walking back everything he says. And it's an eyesore because it's like, when are you going to have conviction in what you're saying? Ramondre Stevenson, whether he got more snaps or not, I could give a rat's ass. He started the game.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think when I think of what makes a starting running back, it's not necessarily who gets the first snap to start the game, but more so, well, okay, who's getting the opportunities in pivotal moments, who's getting more snaps at the end of the game. So I understand he started, and I got a little PTSD when I saw Ramondre start the game. I was like, dear God, there ain't no way we're doing this. But nonetheless, 2 attempts. I do think that if the game was closer, he would have gotten more attempts. But I mean, 2 attempts to Gibson's 12, I do feel like Gibson would have ended the day with more total attempts, but it could have been one of those situations where Gibson gets 15 attempts, but Ramondre gets like 8 attempts or 10 attempts. I think it could have came down to that if the game wasn't so widely spread apart. But nonetheless, all we know is what really happened. And what really happened was Gibson got 12, Ramondre got 2. And Gibson, he looked pretty good. Inconsistencies at times, plays behind the line, stopped for -5, but at the end of the day, that has more to do with the O-line than it does him. He's looked really, really good. He's been the better back for the Patriots in recent weeks. And I said this last week, I honestly think that Antonio Gibson fits this Patriots system better than Ramondre does. Now, I really want to see what he looked like with a good O-line.
At the end of the day, and I'm being dead serious, outside of not maybe, Drake May, you could probably say Keion White, Christian Barmore, Michael Onwenu, Christian Gonzalez. Let me know if I'm missing somebody Brandon Schooler, our partner, Behringer.
Bryce Banger.
Okay. Other than those 7 players, everybody else is fire sale. I'm not even joking. Put them up on the trade market. I don't give a fuck.
What about Juwan Bentley?
Okay, yeah, Juwan. Depends. See, I can be swayed by a certain draft pick.
I would keep Marcus Jones.
As a kick returner, yeah. Not on defense.
I think he looks good on defense when he is given the right receiver to go against. If he's asked to go against a 6'2" receiver, he's 5'8". Like, no duh, he's going to have some issues.
I would rather go pay another guy that's better and just keep people in the roles that they're good in instead of trying to compensate based off of whatever player you're playing against.
Like, I would trade
Duggar on special teams.
I would trade Duggar or Peppers and start Mapu.
I mean, we're seeing Mapu come into his own, man.
We see that he's inactive when he's slowly progressing and Duggar on the field at the same time, though. So if they get both those guys back healthy next year, where does Mapu come in? Because Mapu only came in when those guys started to deal with injuries and suspensions.
I'm not even joking, man. Why are we even keeping Jabril Peppers on the team? We know what this. Well, we don't know, but it's a distraction. I honestly, at this point, it's just a distraction.
I don't know why all of a sudden they stopped playing him.
I think he's hurt.
That's ironic. But I mean, when he's in, he helps the run defense significantly. He brings that energy as long as he's not found guilty and it didn't actually happen.
It's just a distraction right now, man. It's just we don't need this. Duggar. Yeah, I get that. And Jabril Peppers is a hell of a player. But at this point, we don't need this year one. We don't need this going forward. Period. I just want this team to have some kind of identity and then stop speaking out, because players on the outside looking in, I mean, Kendrick Bourne even said it. He did it. It was a live, and he was saying T. Higgins, it's not as bad. It's not what I think. I'm paraphrasing. It's not as bad as what it seems. If he has to talk about why it's not as bad as it seems, that's already telling him that he thinks that the perception of the team is not it's bad, really bad. If he has to say that in itself is scary, is it not?
No, it is for sure. I see what you're saying, because obviously it says what players think of the Patriots organization. But D comes in with a $2 donation, says White can go. He can't stop the run for shiz.
I don't know.
He isn't very good against the run. He's not very good at containing mobile quarterbacks on the outside either.
He's not. I don't feel like he's playing at his position. I feel like he would put him on the interior.
He's good in the interior, but the way he's talking, his inconsistencies, I would love to keep him around, but if he's going to keep this up and he's going to be this just like loom and gloom, what's that guy from Winnie the Pooh? Eeyore. If he's going to be some Eeyore type of vibes, bro, like, all right, 3rd round pick, see ya. Like, let's go put you on a team and see on a different team and see how you feel. Let's go put you on a contender and see how much you see the field. Because Josh Uche complained about the same shit. He left. He got traded. He's been inactive for most of the games he's been with the Kansas City Chiefs. Has the same issues he had here. So go ahead, go to a contender and watch when they bench you because they're not going to put you on the field and potentially risk a Lombardi. And now you're going to play right.
He definitely didn't help his value. If he thinks he's going to get paid like he said he was this next coming off season, he's not going to. He might make less.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy D. But let's go ahead and let's bring on our boy Nathan. Looks like our only Patreon member for today. And let's get his thoughts. Let's see where he's at after this rough loss. Which one is it? There we go. What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? It's pretty good. I mean,
oh, it's good. There we go. We got some positivity.
Hey, I was thinking, what is one bright spot this whole year, And I started digging a little bit. What has shocked you? We've had the 2nd best year since 2022 in the red zone from the 5 or 10. That's pretty shocking. I mean,
it's not shocking. Our offense sucks.
It does.
No, because we had Noodle Arm Jones at quarterback. Literally, you could put any quarterback out there. That is the reason why it's not really that shocking is because I said this that after his rookie year, he was never going to be anything special. The guy belongs in the CFL.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Hoyer, I feel like he could have been a better quarterback.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say it. That throw from Drake today, I'm not going to lie. When I saw the guy offside, I saw Aaron Rodgers-esque from him. Like, what's the thing with Aaron Rodgers? He does, offsides. I would take a free play. Boom. Free first down or touchdown. What was our one critique of Drake coming out of the draft? Touch. Like, that was some touch, my man. Like, I was
accuracy on that one. I remember that.
Little bit underthrown, but the biggest thing is this that we should hype this play up so much for is the fact that just like these players have a split second to react. He had the wherewithal to see that, okay, you just jumped off sides. I got a free play. Like, people don't realize how just like split second for him to realize and he had to have seen the damn flag thrown because there's no way he would ever. Let me not say that because he's a gunslinger. But just being able to see, hey, listen, that guy just jumped off. Let me just sling this. And he didn't even have that much time after that to throw the football because the defender hit him as soon as he threw it.
Yeah, and it just comes to show like he's playing like a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year vet at this point. He's way ahead of development. Those people who are saying, fire Alex Van Pelt, see you later, shut up. This is one of the reasons why he brought AVP in to go ahead and develop these guys because he's done it with other multiple guys before. And if you want to go ahead and fire him, say goodbye, you're going to get something worse than what you have gotten from him earlier this year. What happened to Matt Jones and Noodle Arm Jones? 2 years ago, we put Matt Patricia, but this defensive coordinator, I get it. What we did, 3rd year, he lost his confidence. So like, you're going to want to get behind your schedule again? No way, I'm not doing it. So I'm saying bring back AVP.
I think if we advocate for another signal caller on offense, which, by the way, you will literally have a brand new signal caller. So unless you go get like an Eric Bieniemy, which I think he was let go by UCLA. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Wow, even UCLA don't want him.
I think they fired him. But if we're going to go and you don't fire AVP, you if you're going to take him off offensive play calling duties, then you make him an assistant head coach. You make him Matthew Slater's job. Hey, I'm sorry, Matthew Slater, you're getting a demotion. And if you don't like that, okay, go find a job elsewhere. Who cares? And I love Matthew Slater to death. But, like, you want to keep AVP around because, like we said, man, like you said, the development of Drake May can't be overstated. He's developed into a hell of a, like, all the things that were wrong about him, in the draft and all the critiques.
Well, keep in mind, too, I mean, this offseason, not only did they bring in Alex Van Pelt to develop the quarterback that they knew that they were going to take in the first round. I mean, we went through such a long process of offensive coordinators and this guy coming in, that guy, and that guy, and this guy. Now we hear about 10 more interviews that they have lined up. And then the guy that they ultimately do hire is the guy that we didn't even hear that they were bringing in. All of a sudden, we just hear that this guy named Alex Van Pelt is hired. And all of us were like, who the hell is Alex Van Pelt? And where the hell was he on the interviews list? Like, this guy randomly had an interview and then was just hired. And I think in large part because they wanted to focus on the quarterback position, getting their quarterback. And that's what 2024 was based off of: getting the quarterback, developing the quarterback, hitting on the quarterback, and then moving forward, because they knew that that was the most important piece. That's also why they hired Ben McAdoo. They hired Ben McAdoo to bring him in to also evaluate which quarterback to take and help develop Drake May. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why I said this year is not based off of wins or losses. This year is based off of what happens at quarterback and what they do surrounding the quarterback there with Drake May. So that's why I said that, as frustrating as this season has been, to me, it was a successful season.
It was. And I mean, they showed a graphic during the game that, like, the reason why they can't really get the, passing game going is because of the separation that's going on with, the wide receivers. I mean, Jalen Polk, 1 point yards average, of a separation. Jalen Polk, 2.3. Tandrick Bourne, 2.3. Keishawn Butte, 2.3. Your only guy that you're averaging over 4 yards per reception, of a separation, is Demario Douglas with 4.1.
Yeah, he's really good against man.
Really good. I mean, what would happen if you got some guy that's a number one, target for Drake? I mean, honestly, I don't know.
It's not what if. It better happen. Like it better happen.
On top of
because if you lose a year, like you said, brother, and you hit it on the head, he is way ahead of schedule.
Way.
And the thing is, people like to compare it to the Texans situation without realizing that Nick Caserio, by the way, former GM of the Patriots, developed that roster for 4 freaking years. That roster wasn't barren. That Laramie Tunsil out there, like, that roster was, I'm not going to say it was ready-made or anything, but it's significantly better than this roster.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Caserio was almost fired, too, from Houston. I don't know if you remember that, but before, they started to actually make some moves there, he was almost fired.
Yeah, and in the comment section, let's not talk about Mac Jones' rookie year, please. Let's stop over-glorifying that crap show. Like, go look at the schedule. Go look at the players that he had to play against. I'm not going to go into detail
I do understand why everyone is scared and hesitant. I 100% understand why, because of what happened. Now, Belichick's not here, and I think that Mayo prides himself on doing the exact opposite as Belichick would do, which I don't always agree with at times, but he was here to see what happened. So
don't do everything to a fault, though.
The most important year for a quarterback's development is year 2. I think they know that, and I think that they are going to do everything they can to surround him. I think this is going to be a big
let's stop there.
One second. I'm sorry, Edward, but I have to nail this right in the head real quick. Mac Jones had to go against the Panthers. He had to go against the Texans with Davis Mills. He went against the Browns, where Baker Mayfield was injured. Titans, A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry were not playing. He went against the Jets twice. He went against the old Matt Ryan-led Falcons. That's 6. Then, here's the 7th one. He passed 3 times against the Bills. That is 7 wins. Please do not tell me about Mac Jones' rookie year. I have it down to a T. And you could have had Stevie Wonder at quarterback, and we would have made the playoffs.
And honestly, Matt? I'm sorry, PG, you hit it on the head. Like, year 2 matters the most. And let's talk about Elliott Wolf for a sec. I mean, I heard you guys talking about it. Why on earth has this guy, Austin Hooper, not gotten a freaking contract extension? But for goodness sake, I mean, you guys have been hamping on it for, 8 weeks now? We knew it before this time has come. I mean, freaking pay the guy. If you're not going to, go ahead and do anything with your opportunities next year, because I'm going to be honest, you went ahead and had to, at the time, it's good to look at hindsight, but what you guys said, it may not, come out to be the way. But look, how many guys have you signed during the offseason that have now been cut? You got what's his name? You had KJ Osborne, you had, some
A core
other
four.
guy. A core four just quit on you, and then you had some other guys but man, I'm telling you, and they also showed another like graphic during the game. I mean, Keion Wallace, he's been injured, but he's only had 7.2 snap count this year. That's pretty low. Javon Baker 4.1, and those were the two that came my eye. So who on dadgum God's name are we saying is the wide receivers coach? Because whoever it is doing jack crap nothing. Because he's supposed to be in right now, helping us, and this is a wide open, opportunity for him to get more playing time next week. I bet you. And like, I just don't know. Like, if you're going to go ahead and have the draft that you did this year, if you're going to have the free agency class that you did this year, next year, I'm saying bye-bye, Elliot Wolf. You're not going to deserve a third year, because I'm telling you, this is embarrassing. And everybody had the writing on the wall when the draft day came. Get your freaking left tackle, bro. Even the 5th round, there were still guys there. I mean, it's crazy to me how even just right tackle is not even working out for us. I mean, Colby, you hit it on it too. DeMondre Jacobs playing the way he has. I said before,
He's a practice squad player. He literally, we picked him off the practice squad. It doesn't make any sense. I look, we don't want we obviously at that point in the year, we knew there was anybody out there, but this guy literally grabbed off the practice squad. There isn't anybody that's on the couch right now that could have been a better right tackle, because I'm going to be honest with you. Both our right and left tackle are doing their best impression of the mime challenge. I don't know.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of left tackles in free agency either. Like Tyron Smith was not coming here.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. I mean, we got to see Keion Wallace towards the end of the game. I don't think it's enough to say, even if he looked really good or really bad, it's not enough to say, okay, this is a guy we can build on. This is a guy who we know what he is. You have to now head into the offseason probably needing to address 2 tackle positions, because Michael Onwenu needs to stay at right guard. I don't want him to stay at right tackle. He's better at right guard. Keion Wallace, maybe he can be something for you, but again, hasn't shown you anything to where you feel confident, and there's not enough time left in the season to where you can feel confident about anything he shows you, and you don't want to head into a season betting that he can be something, and then he ends up being a Layden Robinson type player, and now you're screwed with a rotation over on the right side. They need to and they need to get 2 tackles this offseason.
It's just that like there's some things that just shouldn't be said, and leave it up to just like people trying to figure it out on your own. You literally said you drafted Keion Wallace because you think he could play left tackle.
Think. That's the key word.
Think. Because Olu Fashanu, right? Am I wrong? I might be mixing up my tackles. Was playing left tackle at, was it Penn State?
Olu Fashanu was playing what? I thought he was playing right tackle.
Left tackle, yeah.
No, you believe he's playing left tackle.
Who am I thinking of then?
Probably someone else. Regardless, like we.
No. Yeah. You're right. Olu Fashanu was playing left tackle. Wallace was playing right.
Brock Bakhtiari has played 15 games in 3 years, and he played 1 game last year, 13 games a year before, and then 1 game before that. So like, no, Bakhtiari is done.
Bakhtiari is not coming here. And plus, I don't want him either, because he's literally like 34 years old. The guy's not going to want to come here because of his age.
Age is not the issue. The underlying issue is your best ability is availability. If you're not available, that especially with a team like this that needs to build chemistry, I mean, 10 online changes that leads the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that this was going to happen all year long too. But Nathan, man, I want to appreciate you for coming on. You're the only Patriot member to come on today, my guy. So big shout out to you for coming in on this Saturday, man. We have 1 more game left. 1 more game left, and then it's off-season shows. We're talking free agency. We're talking changes. We're talking draft. We're talking. Me and Rob have an upcoming stream at the end of the year after the final game. We're going to do a live stream, and we're going to do our not off-season, but we're going to do our end of the season awards, MVP, breakout player, most disappointing player, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year. So that's going to be a really fun stream that we cannot wait to do with you guys at the end of the year. But Nathan, my man, we will see you next Sunday when we play the Buffalo Bills for the final game of the season. My guy, appreciate you for coming on. But Rob, any last words before we go ahead and wrap this one up?
Someone in the comment section let Milton play the last game. What do you feel about that?
There's no point. I mean, what? Milton's you're hoping can be a backup quarterback for you? No. I want to see development.
I don't want, after seeing Drake May almost get concussed this game, at this point, it's like
you can't be scared though. That's my thing.
I am scared, but like, yeah, going
you can't play that way, though. That's a whole game of development.
Yeah. So guys, I apologize. I'm just like, I want this team to just show something. So I'm speaking at times. Yes, I am being critical and I am breaking down this game, but sometimes I might be getting ahead of myself. But it's just because I'm just tired of seeing this. Like, I didn't base this season off wins and losses. I just wanted to see this team do something to be like, hey, listen, there's a silver lining. I think the only silver lining is that we found out Christian Gonzalez, that 4-game stretch he had in his rookie year, that's who he is. And we also found out, at least for right now, that Drake May is the quarterback of the future.
Yeah, you got a piece on offense. You got a piece on defense. Now you just got to build around him. You got to lock down number one corner that can take away the number one threat. Now you just have to allow him to do it. But before we continue on, or before we end the show off, rather, another massive shout out to BetUS. You guys sign up on the app, on the website, super quick, less than 60 seconds. Use the promo code when you do sign up, YouTube150, like you see on the screen. That is YouTube150. You will lock yourselves into a limited time exclusive offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125 on your next two, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal on your first 3 deposits right now. You don't have to use this on Patriots games. You can use this on the NFL playoffs, on the Super Bowl. You can use it on basketball, baseball, hockey, horse racing, fighting, politics, entertainment. BetUS has the best betting variety in the damn business. They can even give you a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, and they're giving you your very own personalized account manager on top of the ability to bet live on wagering games. But guys, that is going to end it for today's stream. Remember though, big shout out to BetUS. Never bet more than you can afford to lose, but supporting the sponsors that supports the channel, supports massively here at Patriots Global. But make sure on the way out, you guys do leave a big thumbs up. We got 36 total likes right now, 164 of you guys watching right now. So massive shout out. Let's try to hit our 100 like goal by the end of the stream. On your way out, guys, leave that big thumbs up. It helps us so much in supporting this channel. The success of this channel takes less than a second, and it is completely free. So appreciate you guys, as always, for watching. We got one more game, week 18, and then we're all done, and the offseason show, the offseason content, baby, officially starts. Appreciate you guys for riding with us here on this flexed week 17 game where the Patriots get blown out 40-7. I'm Colby with Patriots Global. That is Rob with Patriots 7 in House Call. Make sure you guys follow him on Instagram. You see it says Rob and then Patriots 7. That Patriots 7 is his handle on Instagram. That's Patriots related content out there. Boston sports related content, stats, highlights, opinions, live streams, all of that good stuff. Go show him love on Instagram and let him know that you saw him on YouTube. But guys, appreciate you for watching. And until next time, go Pats.